Alright, time to stop lurking and contribute. Not all of these are paranormal. Dream 1. Be me. Between the ages of 6 or 8. Have this weird reoccurring dream where I'm hunted down by a Trex. Dream always starts with me and my family inside of a house. It's raining. Suddenly we all hear the roar of a Trex and run outside. Oh shit, it's a dinosaur.jpg. We flee in the family car. Dream always ends with me and my dad at the edge of a cliff. The rest of my family is gone for some reason. The Trex is hot on our heels and rapidly approaching. I jump off the cliff to save myself the horrible death of becoming dinosaur food. This happens a few more times in a row until one night it ends with my dad saving me from the fall with a magical rigid blanket. Never have the dream again. UFO sighting. Be 8 years old. Playing in yard out in the country with older cousin. Shooting the shit outside of this large shed thing. Looking up at the sky, I suddenly see a blinking light quickly move across the sky. Freak the fuck out, think it's a UFO. Cousin talks me down. Says even if it was a UFO the US military would shoot it down or something. Dream 2. Be 14-year-old. Sleeping when suddenly I'm assaulted with the worst dream of my life. Dream starts out with static. Fades into a scene of a harlequin baby raping a baby while repeatedly stabbing it. Suddenly subject to a series of visions involving gore. The gore is everything from a screaming degloved face to maybe mutilated penises. It was like a sensory overload. Vaguely remember hearing a high-pitched tone during the dream. Wake up in a cold sweat. I feel like I'm being watched. Climb down from my bed and calm myself down. Never have a nightmare again. This is my first greentext thread, hope someone enjoys it. 1. Be me. Going to unit, living in an apartment with 4 other guys. L has his own room, C and D share a room, I share one with B, hanging out in living room, lights off listening to a spooky podcast with L, C and B. Start talking about ghosts and spooky stuff. D walks in and tells us he feels a presence in the place. We are in the oldest apartments on campus and the campus is built on tribal land. He proceeds to tell us this story. BD walking through forestry area to get somewhere with friend. Says he felt off. Learns later that there was a cemetery near that spot. Thinks Hess spiritually attuned and shit. Also says Hess like 1/60th Native American. Also said at one point that owls are his totem spirits. Anyway, he says that he also saw a shadow move behind him while he was on a Zoom call. We laugh it off because Hess kind of a redneck. We all feel a little uneasy because the apartment is extremely dark due to blackout curtains, and also it doesn't face direct sunlight due to trees. This is in October. Plan to leave early somewhere with L, C, and B. Get up at 6 a.m. L opens his door, immediately says he saw something last night. Thefic.jpg. Are you serious? What did you see? L wasn't the type of guy to just lie for no reason. He also isn't very into the paranormal. Woke up at 4 a.m. for some reason, looked towards the doorway. The door was still closed, but I saw a figure standing there. I thought it was you, had the same general body shape and facial hair. L has his own room and the only key in, so there was no way it was me. Ask so like did it acknowledge you in any way? Nah, just was there, didn't look or anything. Not sure if spooky enough. A half. Be me. Working as a receptionist in a comfy hostel during summer. Just had to answer phone calls and be polite to people. Boss is an old lady who gives me sweets. One day one of the maids fell down the stairs and broke one of her wrists. I offer to take her place until they find a replacement. Once the night starts I close reception and go to the laundry room to take the towels out of the dryer, fold them and bring them to the empty room's private bathrooms. First and second row of rooms done. Go to the last row of rooms left, at the opposite side of the hostel. Never been there, but I've heard it's the oldest part of the building. Find the stairs, that will take me to the last 5 rooms. The whole place is dark except from the now faint light of the hall behind me. There's another light mounted on the wall but there's no switch anywhere. Deep sigh, start walking up the stairs. Light suddenly turns on. It's one of those automatic lights that turn on when detecting movement. These are a fucking pain in the ass. Go to the rooms, get the job done as quick as possible. The fucking light turns off after 10 seconds of no movement. So while I leave the towels on the bathroom, when I exit to the whole place is left pitch black and I have to walk in front of the motion detection thing again. God, I fucking hate these fuckers. Since there's only one light by the wall of the stairs, the end of the hall is always engulfed in absolute darkness. Have to get closer to that place for every room I do. The closer I have to get to the end of the hall, the more I feel like something is watching me. By the time I get the last room done, my hands are trembling while I fold the last towel. The door to the hall is half open, can't see absolutely nothing outside. Don't want to go outside, senses scream danger. No matter how much I try, can't shake the feeling that there's something dangerous at the end of the hall. Be me. Take a quick nap an hour or so before work with work clothes on. Was thinking about masturbating beforehand, but decided against it. Fall asleep and start dreaming about some obscure shit that I can't remember anything about. Dream starts to really fucky real fast. Experience a consistent orgasm that doesn't stop. Once that feeling started, saw what looked like a bunch of electricity. Start getting fed imagery of a bunch of times I masturbated to porn, full-blown memories of it. Swaps to vivid imagery of the few sexual encounters I have had with women, then back to porn. Wake up confused as fuck thinking I had a wet dream for the first time. Feel my cock, it's just really hard, and there's no cum anywhere, lots of pre though. Check the time, it's barely been 10 mins. Fall back asleep cause I'm tired AF after staying up for too long playing Vidya. Immediately start getting the constant orgasm sensation again. Visions start much the same this time, but start becoming harsher. Imagery of people being sexually abused flows into a vivid newscast. Newscast shows a toddler on the caster's desk with a dildo machine working in and out of it. Headline says that this is the new normal. Wake up disturbed as fuck. Still after the constant orgasm sensation, I still haven't actually shot out semen. Lay there in a daze and check the time, only 45 mins until work. Fall back asleep. Orgasm sensation quickly starts up again. The vision this time is just a horrible red field of muscle and bone writhing around, finally forming a pillar of sorts. Pillar shifts into a horrible face laughing and mocking me. Immediately wake up horrified and go to work early cause I don't want to experience this shit anymore. This happened about a year and a bit ago for me and was one of the most intense things I've ever experienced. Can anyone actually explain WTF this entity was? I was 4 or so weeks fresh into meditating for the first time after discovering this general. The 90s. Be me. 4th grade. Get our first computer. Get internet. You've got mail. My friends and I decide to find Atlantis. Asking Jeeves or Yahooing, or whatever shitty search engine we used. Lots of sketch GeoCities pages. Finding clues. Weird conspiracies. Would make 4chan proud. As a 10-year-old, eating it up. People on the internet are so smart. Tell my mom we're getting close to finding Atlantis. That's nice, dear. Have to sign off every 10 minutes to call my bud. Swap findings, one phone line. Dial-up was rough AF. Back on the trail. Never did find Atlantis. Instead found a ton of porn. Spend the next 20 plus years much more interested in porn than Atlantis. Got hooked on porn at a young age, started from trying to find Atlantis. That movie came out a few years later, didn't help at all. When did you find the other side of the internet? Be me. Be kid, 7 to 10. Just left friend's house, lives in a nice 3-story villa in the rich part of town. Start walking up the hill the road is situated on. Get hit by what I can only describe as a vibe. Look up to the sky with intent, northeastern direction. See a balloon. Wait, balloons are rarely black. And they aren't square triangle either. It was both. It was almost like Bantablack. I could not discern its actual shape, amorphous except metallic but not reflective. And they tend to blow away in the wind. That thing is just sitting there. Don't understand what I'm looking at, but keep walking home. Eventually I lose sight of it and just think don't ever really question it. Be current me. I now live on that nice road, in the house directly under where I saw the thing, completely by happenstance. Last year, during winter I saw an anomaly on the road a block down from mine. It was in a southwestern direction. The thing was a moving crest with a ball of light attached, it shone. With a golden yellow-white hue all at once. It looked like the light it was emitting reflecting was moving like fire. I simply stop and stare, skies completely empty, except for this thing, late afternoon summer northern hemisphere ambient glow in the air. The moment feels serene, I am hit by a profound feeling of beauty in what I am seeing, in respect to the nature I am surrounded by. The thing disappears, and I have seen nothing anomalous since. I don't know what to make of it. Non-supernatural spooks. Be me, back in middle school. Visiting a friend's house who lives out in the countryside, closest neighbor was probably a mile down a serpentine road in either direction. About 5 of us there without supervision, because house bro's parents weren't home. Mainly spending the night playing video and talking. After a while 3 of the group are asleep aside from me and one of my swim teammates, Ben. It's a new moon and it's cloudy, so completely pitch black outside. House borders on a thin strip of wooded area a few meters away, so thin you could probably walk edge to edge in 15 minutes. Ben and I are sitting on a second-story balcony that faces parallel to the tree line. We're talking about stupid shit, and he starts idly messing with this cheap laser pointer that looks like a laser tag pistol on his keychain. He's just waving it around back and forth across the tree line and the lawn of the house. We continue talking, and after a few minutes there's a blue dot on my arm. Both of us are confused, realize it's the light from a laser pointer, but it's coming from the woods. The dot runs across my arm and chest a few times before disappearing. Find it kinda funny, before realizing that means someone is out in the woods watching us. We try to play it cool and pretend like we didn't even notice it as we went back inside. In hindsight that was fucking retarded, because we both looked right at it and clearly reacted to it. Get back inside and wake only house bro up. The other 2 would have probably lost their shit and called the cops, so we just let them sleep. Try to figure out what to do, if we should call one of our families, etc. Do nothing, but don't sleep either, obviously. Night goes smoothly, nothing else happens. Next day Ben, house bro, and I go into the woods as if we would find anything. Again, nothing, but at one point while we were dicking around a branch fell out of the canopy and scared us all shitless for a moment. Here's a second-hand tale from my mother. Not really spoopy, sort of wholesome actually. Be me, unborn as yet. Mom is very pregnant with me. Just days before she gives birth to me, no more than a month, her father passes away to his cancer. She's crushed, had been hoping he could be there to meet me. She was depressed in the days leading up to my birth, which ended up being a C-section, her first and only. After I'm born we're in the hospital, normal newborn stuff, and she's recovering from the surgery. She was still depressed, trying her best to feel the happiness one should when holding their firstborn son. One night she can't help but lay there and cry. A nurse she hadn't seen before comes in. Chalks it up to being on the night crew covering for someone. Mom recalls feeling a warmth as soon as she had come in. The nurse is very kind, talks my mother out of her tears and offers to pray with her. Nurse says I want you to know your father is incredibly proud of you and baby Anan. He was there with you the whole time. Mom smiles at first, but realizes she hadn't mentioned Grandpa had passed. Mentions this and the nurse smiles, but says nothing further, squeezes Mom's hand and leaves the room. Mom wasn't afraid, said she felt such peace and had her first good night's sleep since going into labor. Asks about that nurse the next day to the reception of odd looks. No one under that description works here. She wasn't afraid at this news. She believes it was an angel that came to comfort her. I do have a spoopy tale that ties into this which I will write up below. Be me, maybe a year old. Dad is in the army, so we moved around a few times when I was young. He got a short posting to a base in Oklahoma, this time just him, my mother, and I moved there, while my older sisters stayed in the family house with my aunt and grandmother to stay in their school. Naturally I remember nothing, but as soon as we moved into the house down there my father was struggling to sleep. Felt a depression, and as he puts it an almost paranoia at everyday life. He began having awful nightmares which he hid from my mother for a time. A terrible dark figure stalking him, coming at him from the stairs usually. He said he began to see it while awake, and this is when my mother learned of it all. She prayed for him every night. One night he awoke with a shriek and shrieked again when the door banged closed. It came into the room. Good God, it's here. He's hysterical enough that he starts praying out loud himself, surprising as he's generally non-religious. Mom felt that same warmth she had when the nurse from above post had entered her hospital room. Along with the warmth came the sensation of a presence in the room, like a light they couldn't actually see. She heard a whisper, "Be at peace and find ease, we are with you." She says it was the voice of the nurse and her father, in harmony. Dad almost immediately fell back into sleep, and she lay there awake the rest of the night. She asked him the next morning about it all, if he had heard the voices too. He tried to brush it off, but, being married, she knew he probably had. The nightmares stopped, he never saw that face again. I myself can say that, especially as a child, whenever I felt scared of something I would feel that warmth myself. I like to think Grandpa is with me, like a guardian angel,